It's gorgeous.
Zoo babies always have a fuss made of them.
It's absolutely lovely.
But the baby pygmy hippo is getting special attention because sadly her mother died giving birth.
Time for your afternoon feed.
Now it's up to keepers like Cliff Tack to be a substitute mum.
We're so lucky that she was born alive that, you know, we just all got everything crossed and just hoping that she's going to pull through. Come on then. Come on then. See, she is taking some, but not in the quantities that she needs to, but it's early days yet, so just keep on persevering. It's so important to start getting the milk into her, so it gives her the strength to progress.
It's time for that first wallow.
There you go. We put her in the bath after feeding, really, to get the skin supple, because hippos need a constant water supply near, really. Thus the skin goes dry and flaky. But also a warm bath relaxes her. Got a bit of wind, that's nice to see that coming out. Same as burping the baby. Put this one in a warm bath and you get the same result. You can see she really enjoys it. She goes underneath the water and sort of in her element. Nothing bad.
In a place where conservation is so important, every zoo baby is precious, so looking after orphans is something that most keepers have to do at some stage. It's a painstaking business requiring love and dedication. Maggie Lamb is raising a baby Goldie's monkey that was rejected by its mother. It's just 2 months old. Goldie's monkeys are extremely rare. Every individual is vital to the zoo's conservation plan. She is definitely not a pet.
The whole object of the exercise is to manage it so that she gets accepted back into the group, because, I mean, she's a monkey after all. So when you see that, you do that and it works out successfully, it's very satisfying. After I've fed her, I'll take her down to the adults' enclosure, and I'll put her into her own little cubicle that she's got. But we'll leave the door open of the cubicle. So if she wants to go out, she can. And hopefully she will do that eventually. Then it's touch and go. You just have to see what the adult's reaction will be. If they don't accept it, they'll attack her straight away.
Returning the baby monkey to its parents is a delicate family affair and worrying for all concerned, especially for head keeper Frank Wheeler. Will she be accepted or rejected again? Startled and slightly scared, the baby enters the cage. But with Mum first to say hello, she's immediately welcomed home. For Maggie and Frank, it's a huge relief.
It's not something we like doing. Hand rearing isn't a success, it's a failure. It's always second best. And the earlier you can get them back into a group situation, the better.
The Goldie's monkeys are just one of many endangered species that live in the small mammal house. In the eerie underworld of the basement, a colony of fruit bats inhabit the darkness. Their keeper is Una Richardson.
You hear a lot of people outside saying, oh God, I don't know how people can go in there, but They're just the same as any other animal, and there's a lot of myths about them and all that sort of stuff about them landing in your hair. If they're going to get stuck in anyone's hair, they'd get stuck in mine, and they don't. You know, there's just so many myths about them. Very gentle animals.
Bats tend to hang about, so for Una and her co-worker Olivia, catching them isn't too difficult, though keepers must be prepared for the unexpected.
Oh, weed on my face.
The bat that's been caught is a mother who has a baby which is going to have a tiny microchip inserted into it. Microchips are an identity card for life, so the keepers can tell which bat is which. It ensures that when the time comes for the young bat to enter the breeding program, it will be mated with a friend, not a relative, so problems of inbreeding will be avoided. Frank's first task is to discover the sex of the baby.
And it's a lady. Female.
Bats are harem animals. A single male can have many wives. This makes the females especially valuable, as the more females there are, the more babies can be produced. With just a few hundred Rodrigues fruit bats left on their tiny island in the Indian Ocean, the bats in captivity form a vital reserve. Many people find bats rather creepy, and they have unfairly gained a bad reputation. But bats in fact do a great deal of good.
There's almost 1,000 species of bats. If it wasn't for bats, we would be in big trouble. They're one of the most useful animals on the planet because they're seed dispersers. This species of bat is a very poor digester, so it eats a lot of food, and within that food there'll be a lot of seeds. And because they live in such large colonies, they couldn't afford to deposit all their droppings under their roosts. So they spread it when they fly. And what they're doing there is spreading seeds with little balls of fertiliser already attached to them. So they're actually very, very important for a lot of tropical plants, a lot of hardwoods, and they're practically the only animal that pollinates desert plants. If it wasn't for bats, we would have no tequila. So for that alone, bats should be preserved.
As with bats, so with dormice. Olivia and Andrea are checking which babies still need microchips.
Okay, that's one of the ones that's already been chipped, so we don't want that one. We'll have the same case today. What have we got here? Okay, this is a hibernation position. And if you want to check, this is the one that's got to go up, it hasn't got a chip in it already.
Dormice were once common in the countryside, but modern farming has put them at risk. Zoo vet Sue Thornton has to carry out the delicate operation of inserting the microchip into the tiny dormouse.
Okay, female. In you go. That's it.
Gently, she puts it to sleep.
All right, everyone. Okay, you're asleep. Just come out backwards. I think it's going to be easier that way. Okay, let's put them on your side. Once they've gone to sleep, we can then bring them out and just put their nose into the end of the tube. Let me have a bit of spirit. What we've tried to do is put the chip somewhere where it's not going to interfere with the dormouse's normal behaviour. We've done a number of different sites on the dormice, and so since they roll up, we put the chip in their just under their abdominal skin. As you can see, it is a fairly enormous needle. It's very large on a dormouse, but because it's asleep, it doesn't know anything about it. And the chip is now underneath the surface.
Though dormice get private healthcare and good food, less lucky mice may end up on someone else's menu. Frozen mouse is top-notch for the otters. They are particular favourites of Olivia.
Come on.
Here you go. Right, we've got 5 otters here. We've got a pair and 3 offspring. That was the father that just took the first one. Here you go. That's one of the youngsters. As is that one. Here you go. As is that one. And Mum always waits till last. Here you go. They like hiding. Everything's underneath the banks. We've got banks here, and they've dug them and play around. They hide everything. So they get pens thrown in and cosmetic cases and sunglasses. They love sunglasses. They can punch through the glass out and put their hands through. Very playful animals. Aren't you? Oi, Amy, here you go. Quick. Oi. There you go.
And we can turn him off. So that's a very quick procedure. He's now just on oxygen. This is where they can suddenly jump up. It's a very nice anaesthetic. It's a very safe anaesthetic. He's just starting to wake up now. It's the reason it's so nice is that it has quick induction, which is the time it takes to actually go to sleep, and a quick recovery.
So it was on 10, so...
That's 30 grams.
Yeah.
Even heavier. And as you can see, it's a very, very gorgeous dormouse. It's feeling a little bit sleepy, but I mean, basically it's waking right up now. And it's very important for his future that we can identify him, so he's going to be an important part of the breeding programme.
London Zoo also takes part with Chester Zoo in a breeding programme for harvest mice. Telling the sexes apart calls for a trained eye and an intimate examination.
Okay, if you want to pop the little boy in that now, we'll stick him back in a moment. Right, just another little bottom.
Okay, I've got it. I haven't got it.
Little girl.
Little female.
Excellent. The female has the genitalia holes closer together than the male, and that's how we know that she's a female. It's an acquired skill, and after you've done it several times, there's no doubting the males from the females. So we're quite pleased with that. We've got a little girl, which is exactly what Chester wanted. She's about 3 months old, which, as I said, they live to about 18 months old. That's quite a nice age for them to start breeding at. So hopefully, if that goes down to Chester, it'll be put in with one of their males, and history will be made.
In offering the best food and lodging to its animals, London Zoo sometimes attracts uninvited guests. Rats steal food, cause damage and spread diseases. But not if Tino Magaro, the man from Quick Kill, gets his way.
Oh, now that's interesting. There's actually a rat in here now. He's actually looking at me. Can you see him? I know you're in there. No, I've always had a personal interest in animals. I love them to death, all sorts. But I sort of struck lucky when in pest control and also working at London Zoo, so I get to see both sides of the coin, getting rid of them and looking after them. And my wife's training to be a vet as well, so you've got the two ends of the scale, really, especially if we're both, I mean, I'm set up in business on my own, but if she was as well, it'd be amazing, you know, you'd have sick animals coming in one end, being saved, but you'd have other animals being brought out dead by me, so it's a bit of a paradox, but I owe a hell of a lot to the rat, because without him I wouldn't have a living.
London Zoo can be a confusing place if you're a rat. Most are persecuted, but a select few will be invited to star in Andy Holsworth's Animals in Action show.
This is one of the 2 rats that we're that we're working on for this year's production. He's a brown rat, as you can see, and his name's Dodger. And the idea is to give the people a bit of an insight into how rats have travelled around the world. This is a brown rat that you can find in your rubbish dumps and your sewers, but this is a very clean one. So we want him to run, we're trying to get him to run along the back screen there and down a rope, and eventually it'll be on board a ship, which a child from the audience will be holding. So we're working him backwards from the end of the rope in stages, and he's doing quite well, but not as good as the other one.
So pretty much fully grown adult. He's had his best days. He now goes to the great rat city in the sky. He's off to the incinerator with all his other little friends as I pick them up and find them. And we carry on the battle against them until I win the war. 1-0.
Since conservation is one of London Zoo's main aims, few animals come here from the wild. Many arrive from other collections, but every so often the zoo takes in an unwanted pet from a rare species. But former pets can have personality problems.
Well, he was an ex-pet, and as far as we know, he was probably kept in quite a small cage with no company and lack of exercise. So, in other words, he was just bored. And you're talking about birds that are highly intelligent. I mean, these are, you know, probably the equivalent of a chimpanzee or a small child. And so he just suffered really badly, and he used to sway and feather pluck, which is quite common in parrots. So that's why he's bald now. I don't think he's ever going to recover all his feathers, but I think he's improved a lot since we've had him. So we're trying to breed them here. We've left them alone to nest, and they've, you know, the eggs have just been damaged inside the nest box. But this time we've taken the egg to hand rear it.
Patsy Joseph is hoping that if the cockatoo chick is ready to hatch, it will call to her from inside the egg. But she won't take any chances with the chick, chirp or not.
Well, the parents have laid several eggs over the last year, and we've left them alone because we didn't want to hand rear a Moluccan cockatoo. This was quite a weak embryo when it was in the egg, and we weren't sure if it would even survive. He's just recovering now. It's quite an exhausting thing to come out of the eggshell, but he seems to be quite lively. So he seems like, you know, a strong chick.
Head keeper Paul Harrington puts the chick on the scales. From now on, it'll be weighed regularly to check its progress.
All the signs are that it'll feed, be quite keen to feed. It's had about 4 hours since it came out of the shell. It looks fairly good. Actually, it looks very good at the moment. And you've got the syringe.
What milk?
Just 2 ml, yeah. So if the food goes cold, it won't feed. It's quite a large cropful there. You can see the food going down. Sort of gravity pulling it to the bottom of the crop. And you just need to be careful it doesn't come up too far. There's quite a lot of food there. They can inhale it if it comes up, back up the esophagus and down the throat. But that's quite a nice cropful, and it's not too stretched. Again, at this point, we want to make sure that the crop doesn't stretch too quickly. It increases in size as the amount of food goes up, but if it's overstretched, then that creates problems. No, he's going for a little bit more. Yeah.
Hand-rearing baby cockatoos isn't easy because there's a danger that their identity will become confused by close contact with humans. The keepers call this imprinting.
As a bird hatches, the first thing it sees, it will latch onto as its own kind. So, i.e., if a bird sees you, when it hatches, it will, it will latch onto you rather than its own kind.
In the main aviary, Gonzo is just such a damaged bird.
Gonzo came to us a few years ago. He was hand-reared at another collection. And we've tried to pair him up with one of the females in this big flight aviary to get him... I don't really want that. Trying to get him fit and, in good breeding condition. He seems to have paired up okay with her, but like I say, he is imprinted and he spends more time up with us than he does with her. Whenever we're around, he wants us and not her, so it's a bit difficult. Gonzo, come on. I think he's being a bit awkward. Come on, boy.
With the baby chick having to be hand-reared, Patsy knows that she will in effect be its mother. But to stop the chick thinking so too, she's come up with an ingenious solution. Patsy hopes that with the tape of birdsong playing and a screen to hide her, the glove puppet mum will convince the chick that it's a real cockatoo. After the chick has been fed, the baby is not left on its own. It can still snuggle up to the cuddly cockatoo that Patsy has made for it. It's not just the cockatoos that have a problem with imprinting.
This is Dana. She's a black and white rough lemur. She's 8 years old, and when she was born, her mother couldn't look after her properly, and so she had to be taken away and hand-reared when she was bottle-fed. And as a result, she sees herself as a human being because she knows us, and so we're her family.
Dana's fate is also her fortune. Because she's so friendly, she has an important job as one of the zoo's animal ambassadors. Today, she's doing a photo shoot with teen pop star Billy.
She's got hands like us.
With fingernails.
Oh, yeah. She's even got nails.
Yeah, and she's got fingerprints on the other side as well.
Can we have some nail varnish over here?
Close my eyes and I see you clear. Feels like you're lying here. All the things I want to say come and go. Easy as a breeze, those words just flow.
Where's the camera?
I float on air. Your love so sweet, you can make me fly. From days and from the time we spent together, I need that honey drip every hour. I'm thinking about your sugar lips.
Dana International. She's a lady boy.
Candy in your fingertips. Baby, don't stay away from it too long.
She's She's holding my hand.
I should be kissing you, wanted you to be for me. I wouldn't tell her like
After the photo op, Billy's invited back to Dana's place, and keeper Rob Goodchild introduces her to another special orphan, a kinkajou or honey bear.
Yeah, she's they're nocturnal. And,
She's shaking.
a little bit, yeah. She's just yeah.
Oh my God! Did you see his tongue?
At first, Billy is a little unsure.
I think she's pooing on me.
No, she won't do any of that, yeah, right. She uses her tongue to get her honey while wild bees nest.
But in spite of the 5-inch tongue, Billy falls in love with the cuddly creature.
wanted you to be, that's you for me.
Oh, I wanna.
But no matter how much Billy wants the kinkajou, she can't have it.
You found me.
Meanwhile, the cockatoo chick that Patsy took under her wing is continuing to do well. Gradually, it begins to interact with the glove puppet. Patsy is hopeful that the chick won't be imprinted, but only time will tell.
So he's picking up the twigs. He's picked up a twig. He's quite hungry.
Now, we should have bets on whether this is going to work today. Remember your script, remember your lines. All you've got to do is run up the top and then run on board the ship and go on a nice holiday to England. Don't let me down. There's lots of people out there. You might see a twitchy pair of whiskers, because living on this dockside is a rat, and he's seen Alice's ship and he decides to go on holiday, and he runs down the rope. And during the night, when no one's looking, the little rat sneaks on board Alice's ship. Now, in the morning, Alice lets go of the ship, of the rope, and she goes sailing back home to England. Paul Daniels, eat your heart out.